Sunlight spills like warm honey across the bog, a liquid gold that awakens the world from its cool, damp slumber. On a tuft of sphagnum moss, a tiny jewel stirs. This is Aurora. As the morning mist, scented with the sharp perfume of tamarack resin, begins to thin, she shivers. It is not from cold, but from intent. Deep within her thorax, flight muscles vibrate, generating a spark of warmth, raising her internal temperature just enough for the day's first journey. She is a golden net-winged beetle, a creature of the spongy, saturated edges of fens and peatlands, a living ember against a canvas of green and brown. Beads of dew tremble on her ridged wing covers, the elytra, which give her family its name. They are not the hard, shell-like armor of other beetles. Instead, they are soft, almost leathery, and etched with a delicate, raised network of ribs that looks like intricate black lace laid over molten orange. This pattern is not for beauty alone, it is a proclamation. Her vivid colors, ranging from a gentle gold to a deep, warning red, are a message written in a universal language of the wild. They shout a silent warning to the birds that patrol the bog's edge, a promise of a bitter, unpalatable taste born from a sophisticated internal chemistry. How can something so fragile broadcast its danger so effectively without ever making a sound? She is a creature of the day, a slow and deliberate flyer, making short, drifting flights only when the sun is warm and the wind is a gentle breath. While the adults sip nectar from tiny bog flowers and dust themselves with pollen, they become unwitting but essential pollinators for plants that might otherwise be overlooked. The males, often distinguished by slightly more elaborate, comb-like antennae, are exquisitely tuned to catch the faintest whisper of a potential mate's scent carried on the breeze. Aurora settles again, her delicate feet testing the texture of the moss. She is searching for a perfect hummock, a place with just the right moisture and density to shelter her next generation. For hidden beneath this verdant carpet lies the secret to her species' survival. Here, her larvae live a completely different existence. They are flattened and armored, moving with glacial slowness through the damp pulp of decaying wood and the tangled threads of moss. For more than a year, through the freezing cold of winter and the relentless damp of spring, they feed on minuscule invertebrates and fungal hyphae, silent engineers of the underworld. The bold warning colors of the adults are so successful that they form the cornerstone of a shared signal of safety, a visual password that some completely harmless insects have learned to imitate. It is a world of disguise and deception, where looking dangerous is as good as being dangerous. And today, this small drama matters more than ever. Peatlands, like this one, are colossal reservoirs of carbon, and the presence of small, specialized insects like the golden net-winged beetle is a vital sign, a subtle hint that these ancient, mossy systems are still intact and healthy. Your notes and photographs from a quiet walk on a boardwalk can help scientists understand the future of these fragile worlds. In the comments below, tell us which detail captured your imagination the most: the beetle's morning warm-up, the intricate netted wings, or the bold, silent warning of its colors. Stay with us, because as the sun climbs higher, Aurora is about to encounter a look-alike whose very survival is built upon her fearsome reputation. What kind of armor looks like delicate lace yet glows with the intensity of banked embers? By mid-morning, the air smells of steeped peat tea and sun-warmed pine resin. A single mosquito whines a high, thin note. As a shaft of sunlight finds Aurora's back, her orange deepens to a smoldering red, a living coal against the cool green of the sphagnum. The secret to her unique appearance lies in her elytra. These are not rigid shields, but soft, flexible panels, ribbed with that distinctive net-like lattice. This remarkable structure serves multiple purposes. It flexes as she moves, it can muffle vibrations, and it even allows for a degree of respiration. She has traded the heavy, defensive plating and sprinting speed of other beetles for something far more effective: visibility and control. Hers is a strategy of signal over armor. A young bird may try its luck once, but the lesson is swift and memorable. Her warning colors advertise potent chemical defenses that make her taste utterly foul. After a single unpleasant bite, the memory is seared into the predator's mind. In flight, she does not buzz or dart. She drifts, like a scrap of autumn leaf caught in a gentle current, low and exceptionally maneuverable. Her flexible elytra help to shape the air around her, giving her a level of control that heavier beetles lack. Each segment of her antennae is finely serrated, and in the males, these combs become even more extravagant, designed to sift the air for the faintest molecular trace of a female's pheromones. This successful strategy has not gone unnoticed. Her harmless neighbors have taken note, and some have copied her pattern. A day-flying moth that shares her bog habitat wears the same uniform of molten orange and black, taking full advantage of the fearsome reputation Aurora has built. If a simple color can save your life, who would not choose to borrow it? Here is why this small detail of nature matters so profoundly. Our own world is filled with warning colors, on hazard vests, on traffic signs, on poisonous materials. We understand this code because nature invented it first, and species like Aurora keep the lesson alive for every new generation of predators. By protecting the peat bogs that are her home, we are protecting the teachers. Her bright, conspicuous presence is a small, living indicator of the wetland's health, a tiny barometer in a world of accelerating climate change. Tell me in the comments, which of her characteristics did you find most fascinating? Was it the flexible, lace-like armor, the masterful drifting flight, or the clever mimics who borrow her style? Next, as a crowd of orange lookalikes gathers in the late afternoon light, the boldest impersonator of all will step from the shadows, and Aurora will face a decision she cannot make by color alone. At high noon, danger on the bog tastes bitter. A small wolf spider, a hunter of formidable speed and precision, scuttles across the boardwalk and taps one of Aurora's legs with an exploratory palp. The reaction is instantaneous. From her leg joints and mouth parts, Aurora leaks tiny, crimson beads of fluid. A sharp scent, like rain-wet aspirin, lifts into the air. The spider recoils violently, frantically wiping its palps on the moss, trying to rid itself of the appalling taste and smell. It is a moment of pure chemical warfare. This defense is known as reflex bleeding, a common strategy among net-winged beetles. It is a passive but incredibly effective deterrent that relies not on speed or strength, but on the power of memory. Aurora's blood, her hemolymph, is laced with harsh-tasting pyrazine compounds that can sicken any small predator foolish enough to try a bite. Birds learn this lesson after one mouthful. Frogs and praying mantises do too. Even the sticky texture of the fluid matters, gluing a predator's mouthparts shut just long enough for the beetle to drop away to safety. Would you dare take a second bite after an experience like that? Look again at those brilliant bars of orange and soot black. They are not mere decoration. They are a billboard, a giant illuminated sign that says, "Do not eat me." This is a positissimism, a warning you can see long before you taste. It is precisely why she can afford to be a slow, deliberate flyer in broad daylight, often perching conspicuously on flowers at shoulder height. When your entire body advertises mortal danger, there is no need to sprint. The plot thickens with the phenomenon of mimicry. Many unrelated insects that live in the bog share this same warning coloration, forming what biologists call a mimicry ring. In this club, accuracy equals safety. The more members that share the signal, the faster predators learn to avoid the pattern altogether. Think of it as a shared security system for an entire community. The odor of Aurora's defense seals the lesson. When she reflex bleeds, that sharp, medicinal whiff broadcasts the warning to birds on the railing and dragonflies hunting nearby. It is a multi-sensory alarm. Predators learn far more quickly when multiple senses, sight, taste, and smell, all deliver the same urgent message. Today, this shared signal is more important than ever. Shifting seasons and warming bogs can disrupt the delicate timing of when different species emerge, potentially confusing the predators that rely on these ancient signals. Your phone photos documenting these beetles and their lookalikes can help scientists track these changes in real time, providing crucial data on the health of these ecosystems. Drop a comment below naming the warning that you found most effective: the vibrant color, the sharp smell, or that sticky chemical spill. Next, stay with Aurora as the challenge becomes far more personal: how to find the right partner in a crowd of convincing imposters. A glow begins in darkness, deep beneath the sphagnum, where the golden net-winged beetle first learns what it means to live. Let us travel back in time to the very beginning of Aurora's story, to a world that is perpetually dim, cool, and wet, hidden beneath a decaying ribbon of wood. It is here, in these hidden corridors, that the cycle of life truly begins. The larval stage is a world away from the sunlit, airy existence of the adult. The larvae are creatures of the damp earth, creeping through fungal threads and softened, decaying leaves, their mouths constantly busy, their bodies held low to the ground. This steady, persistent nibbling is not random. It is a vital act of recycling. They are tiny engines of decomposition, breaking down tough organic matter and returning essential nutrients to the peatland and forest floors, allowing new plants to grow. The bog breathes, in part because these little eaters keep the cycle of life and death moving. Flattened and faintly plated, a larva can slip under bark and into the tightest seams of peat where water clings. Its small, firm jaws are perfectly designed to rasp away at white fungal threads and the spongy plant tissues softened by decay. They are specialists of these damp corivores and must remain moist to survive, which is why you will only find them deep within sphagnum moss, in leaf litter, and along the melt line of rotting logs, rather than out on an open trail. When winter's grip tightens, they do not hibernate in the traditional sense. Buffered by the insulating blanket of moss and the gentle, constant warmth of decay, they simply endure, feeding whenever a brief thaw allows. How does Aurora learn her first lesson in transformation? As spring finally loosens the bog's icy grip, she presses a simple chamber for herself from peat and frass, hidden safely beneath a wedge of wood, and begins to pupate. Within this protected space, a silent alchemy occurs. The larval anatomy is completely deconstructed and rebuilt into the adult form. The pale, worm-like body is replaced by one that bears the reticulate elytra, the sophisticated antennae, and the brilliant orange and black warning colors of her parents. Emergence is timed perfectly to coincide with the early summer bloom when the bog's flowers begin to open. The adults live for a brief, purposeful season, visiting low, open blossoms for a sip of moisture and a dusting of pollen, driven now by the singular goal of finding a mate rather than a meal. Their colors announce their bitterness, backed by the potent defensive fluid, and they are most active during the day, when their visual warning is easiest for all to see. Here is why this hidden life matters now. Peatlands store vast quantities of carbon, and the living sphagnum is their skin. When we drain or damage these bogs, we are not just destroying the surface. We are erasing the larval nurseries that power these essential cycles. Protecting the damp edges and rotting wood of these habitats helps not just a single species of beetle, but the entire complex web of processes in the soil that keeps the bog alive and healthy. Share in the comments which characteristic or fact about Aurora's secret childhood surprised you the most. Next, as the summer sun begins to tilt lower in the sky, Aurora will rise from the boardwalk's edge, moving across the wind-trembled moss, guided by cues we have only just begun to understand. A single golden ember hovers over a delicate pink cranberry bell at the bog's edge. It is late afternoon, and the air is tart with the scent of peat and sweet with resin. Somewhere in the distance, a frog ticks like a slow, patient metronome. We watch Aurora, the golden net-winged beetle, as she approaches a bloom no bigger than a thumbnail, its petals still tipped with dew. She braces her tiny, clawed toes on the rim of the petal and unrolls a soft, brush-like feeding tube, her proboscis, dabbing gently at the nectar within. Her mandibles are weak, unsuited for chewing. Despite any old, misleading nickname that might hint at a diet of seeds, she does not crunch seeds at all. She is a delicate connoisseur of floral rewards. Grain by golden grain, pollen clings to the silky hairs on her chest and becomes entangled in the fine mesh of her wing covers. When she lifts off and drifts to the next bloom, a little of that precious dust rubs free. Every sip she takes helps to carry life from one flower to another. She is a member of the quiet patrol, an accidental gardener ensuring the future of the bog's flora. Before each flight, she stands perfectly still, a tiny solar panel drawing the thin afternoon sun into her body until the warmth fuels her muscles. The life of an ectotherm, a creature whose body temperature is governed by the world around it, runs on this borrowed heat. When she finally lifts, her wing beats are slow and measured, built for precision and control rather than a high-speed chase. What appears to us as unhurried, the patient basking, the careful lift, the steady gliding flight, is actually the intricate engine of her flower patrol. Her slender, combed antennae are her primary guides, reading the chemical signature of blossoms long before her eyes can, catching the faint perfume of cranberry and the specific wind-borne cues that pass between males and females. She flies low, tacking slightly into the breeze, a living nose charting the invisible currents of scent. Another beetle, equally bright, lands nearby. They stand parallel, tap antennae once, pause, and tap again, a greeting so subtle it is easy to miss. Their shared warning colors keep them safe from interruption, because one unpleasant taste has taught the local birds and spiders to leave them in peace. Soft, slightly sticky pads on her feet allow her to grip the slick, waxy rims of petals, and she often pauses to clean her antennae with a neat, precise swipe of a foreleg, keeping her channels of information clear. She is not a seed snacker. She is a flower worker. She is no bee and she builds no hive, yet her daily rounds help nudge the bog's calendar forward, especially on cool days when chillier breezes might sideline more fussy, fair-weather flyers. Today, as wetlands shrink and bloom times shift with our warming seasons, every one of these small visits matters more than ever. By simply noticing who shows up to work on the flowers, you can learn to read a place's health in the diversity of its wings. You can watch this tiny drama unfold in many northern bogs. Step gently onto a boardwalk after a light rain, and as the air warms, scan the tiny bells of cranberry and bog rosemary. You will find these tiny, brilliant beetles at work where many of us might only be looking for bees. Share what you have seen in the comments and name the trait that captivated you most: her gentle nectar habit, the solar-powered takeoff, or those incredible scent-reading antennae. The next puff of wind carries a signal that is not from a flower, and Aurora is already turning to face it.